Have you ever ignored your mother's call because you were too busy? Have you ever promised yourself, I'll visit her next month, but next month never came? Have you ever felt like you were living a life so small, so ordinary, that even you are disappointed in yourself? What if I told you that right now, somewhere in your parents' home, there might be a letter, a secret letter, written for you, waiting to be found only after they're gone? And what if that letter contained words so powerful they could either destroy you or completely transform you? This is the true story of a 40-year-old man who found 20 letters his mother wrote him over 20 years. Letters she hid, letters she never sent, letters that waited silently until the day she died. What he read in those letters shattered him, but it also saved him. Stay with me until the end, because this story might be the wake-up call you didn't know you needed. And maybe, just maybe, it will make you pick up the phone and call your mother tonight.
Meet David, the man who forgot his dream. David was 40 years old. He lived in a modest apartment in Seattle. He worked as a mid-level accountant at a software company. Not successful, not unsuccessful, just existing. Every morning, he woke up at 7 a.m., made coffee, commuted an hour to work, sat in a cubicle for 9 hours, commuted back, ate dinner alone in front of Netflix, and went to bed. Repeat, repeat, repeat. He had no wife, no children, no close friends. His weekends? Groceries on Saturday, laundry on Sunday. His hobbies? Scrolling through Instagram, watching other people live interesting lives. His dreams? He couldn't even remember if he ever had any. But he did. Once. When David was 20 years old, he was different. He was alive. He had fire in his eyes. He told his mother back then, "Mom, I'm going to change the world. I'm going to build schools for kids who can't afford education. I'm going to help thousands of families." His mother, a retired elementary school teacher who lived on a small pension, looked at him with so much pride and said, "I believe you, my son. I always will." But life happened. David got his first real job at 22. Just for a few years, he told himself, just to save money. Then I'll pursue my dream. At 25, he got a small promotion. More money, more comfort, more reasons to stay. At 30, he thought about his dream sometimes, but it felt distant, unrealistic. Maybe later, he whispered to himself. At 35, he stopped thinking about it altogether. At 40, David had become a ghost of the person he once wanted to be. His mother called him every Sunday. Every Sunday, David answered with the same energy. "Hi, Mom. Yeah, I'm fine. Work is fine. No, nothing new. Yeah, I'll visit soon. Love you too. Bye." 5-minute calls. Surface level. Distant. David didn't know that every time they hung up, his mother would sit quietly in her small house, staring at his childhood photos, whispering to herself, "He was supposed to change the world. What happened to my boy?"
The call that changed everything. October 15th, 2024, Tuesday morning. David was at work, staring blankly at a spreadsheet, when his phone rang. Unknown number. He almost didn't answer, but something made him pick up. "Is this David Chen?" "Yes, who's this?" "This is Dr. Patel from Seattle General Hospital. Your mother, Susan Chen, was brought in this morning. She collapsed at home. You need to come immediately." David's heart stopped. He grabbed his jacket and ran. When David arrived at the hospital, a doctor met him in the hallway. "Mr. Chen, your mother had a massive stroke. We did everything we could, but I'm very sorry. She passed away 20 minutes ago." The words didn't make sense. "What? No, I just talked to her on Sunday. She was fine. I'm so sorry." David stood there, frozen, as the world collapsed around him. His mother was gone, and the last thing he ever said to her was, "Yeah, I'll visit soon." But soon never came.
3 days later, David stood in a small church with 30 people, his mother's friends, former students, neighbors. One by one, they spoke about Susan Chen. She was the kindest teacher I ever had. She believed in me when no one else did. She helped my family when we had nothing, bought groceries for us, paid our rent once. She talked about her son all the time. She was so proud of him. She always said he was going to do great things. David felt sick. Proud of me? For what? For living a mediocre, meaningless life? After the funeral, David went to his mother's house to sort through her belongings. The small two-bedroom house where he grew up. The same furniture, the same smell, the same photos on the walls. He walked into her bedroom and began going through her closet. And that's when he found it. A wooden box, hidden in the back of the closet, behind old clothes. On top of the box, a handwritten note. For David, to be opened after I'm gone. David's hands trembled as he opened the box. Inside, 20 sealed envelopes, each one labeled with a year: 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008, 2024. David sat on the floor, staring at the envelopes, his heart pounding. She wrote me letters for 20 years and never gave them to me? He picked up the first envelope, 2005. He was 20 years old that year, fresh out of high school, full of dreams. He opened it carefully. Inside, a handwritten letter on old, slightly yellowed paper.
My dearest David, today is your 20th birthday. You told me something today that made my heart so full I had to write it down so I would never forget. You said, "Mom, I'm going to change the world. I'm going to build schools for poor children. I'm going to help families like ours who struggled." Your eyes were shining when you said it. You believed it with every part of your soul. And I believed you too. I'm writing this letter now, and I'm going to hide it. Maybe I'll give it to you someday. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll be gone by the time you read this. But I want you to know I saw greatness in you today. Real greatness. Not the kind that comes from money or fame. The kind that comes from a pure heart that wants to help others. I don't know what will happen in your life, but I hope that when you read this letter many years from now, you can look back and say, "Mom, I did it. I kept my promise. I changed the world. I believe in you, my son. I always have. I always will. With all my love, Mom."
David's vision blurred with tears. He remembered that day. He remembered saying those words. He remembered the fire he felt. And then he looked at his life now, 40 years old, accountant, alone, empty. I broke my promise. I forgot. I gave up. With shaking hands, he opened the next envelope.
My dearest David, you're 24 now. You've been working at your accounting job for 2 years. You came to visit last week. You looked tired. You said, "Mom, the job is fine. It pays the bills." But I saw it in your eyes. You've started to forget your dream. You didn't mention the schools. You didn't mention helping families. You talked about promotions and benefits and 401ks. I didn't say anything. I just smiled and said I was proud of you. But I'm writing this tonight because I need to tell the truth, even if you never read it while I'm alive. I'm scared, David. I'm scared you're going to wake up one day, 20 years from now, and realize you spent your whole life doing something that didn't matter to you. But I still believe in you, even if you don't believe in yourself anymore. Mom. David couldn't breathe. She knew. She saw it happening, and she said nothing. He opened another.
My dearest David, you're 29 now. You barely visit anymore. You call on Sundays for 5 minutes. You sound distant, distracted, like you're just checking a box. Call Mom. Done. I asked you last week, "David, are you happy?" You said, "Yeah, Mom, I'm fine." But you're not fine. I know you. I'm your mother.
I can hear it in your voice. You're living a life you don't love, and you're too deep in it to know how to get out. I want to shake you awake. I want to scream, "Wake up! You're wasting your one precious life." But I can't, because you're an adult now. You have to choose for yourself. All I can do is write these letters and hope that someday, somehow, they reach you. I still believe in you, even when you've stopped believing in yourself. Mom. David was sobbing now, full, uncontrollable sobs. She saw everything. She watched him fade. She watched him give up, and she never stopped believing. He grabbed the last envelope, 2024, the year she died. The letter was dated August 2024, 2 months before her stroke. He opened it with trembling hands. My dearest David, I'm dying. The doctors told me last week. Stage 4 cancer. Spread to my liver, lungs, bones. They gave me 2 to 3 months. I didn't tell you. I didn't want you to worry. I didn't want you to visit me out of guilt. I've been writing these letters for 20 years. Every year, on your birthday, I write one and hide it. I don't know why I started. Maybe I hoped you'd find them someday. Maybe I just needed to talk to you honestly, even if you'd never hear it while I was alive. David, I need to tell you something. I failed you. I watched you give up on your dream. I watched you become small. I watched you fade, and I said nothing. I should have grabbed you by the shoulders and said, David, wake up, you're dying inside. But I didn't. I stayed quiet. I let you drift away. And now I'm running out of time. So I'm writing this final letter, and I'm praying that when you find it, it's not too late. David, you are 40 years old. You think it's too late. It's not. You think you've wasted 20 years. You have. But you still have 30, 40, maybe 50 years left. Don't waste those too. The dream you had when you were 20, it's still there, buried, forgotten, but not dead. Dig it up. I won't be here to see it, but I'll die believing that you'll do it. Not for me, for yourself. For the little boy who once looked at me with shining eyes and said, Mom, I'm gonna change the world. Be that boy again. I love you, David. I always have. I always will. Goodbye, my son. Mom. David collapsed on the floor, clutching the letter to his chest, sobbing. She believed in me for 20 years. While I gave up on myself, she never gave up on me. And now she's gone, and I wasted 20 years. For hours, David sat on the floor of his mother's bedroom, surrounded by 20 letters, drowning in grief and regret. But slowly, something else began to rise. Not just sadness, rage. Rage at himself. Rage at the life he'd wasted. Rage at the dream he'd buried. He stood up, wiped his face, and looked at the letters one more time. And he made a decision. Mom, I'm going to do it. I don't care if I'm 40. I don't care if it's hard. I don't care if I fail. I'm going to keep the promise I made when I was 20. I'm going to change the world. For you and for me. Day 1. After the funeral. David didn't go back to work. He called his boss. I quit. Effective immediately. David, are you sure? You're throwing away 18 years of... I'm sure. He hung up. Then he did something insane. He sold everything. His apartment, his car, his furniture, everything except one suitcase of clothes and his laptop. He moved into a tiny studio apartment in a cheaper part of town. And he opened his mother's letters again. He reread letter number 1, the promise he made at 20. "I'm going to build schools for poor children." "Okay," David whispered, "that's what I'll do." Motivational tale. First 6 months, the research phase. David had no idea how to build a school, but he started learning. He spent 12 hours a day researching how to start a nonprofit, how to fundraise, how to find land, how to hire teachers, how to get legal permits. He contacted organizations that built schools in poor communities. He volunteered. He asked questions. He absorbed everything. He lived on $800 a month, rice, beans, tap water. His old coworkers thought he'd lost his mind. His old friends stopped calling, but David didn't care. For the first time in 20 years, he felt alive. Month 7 to 12, the first fundraiser. David launched a crowdfunding campaign. "I'm building a school for underprivileged children in memory of my mother, Susan Chen, a teacher who believed every child deserves education." He posted his mother's story. He posted the letters, with permission from himself, to honor her memory. The campaign went viral. People were moved. In 30 days, David raised $47,000, not enough to build a school, but enough to start. Year 2, the first school opens. David found a small community in rural Washington where children had to travel 2 hours to the nearest school. He rented a building, hired 2 teachers, bought supplies. September 2026, the Susan Chen School opened its doors. 20 children enrolled. David stood outside the school on opening day, tears streaming down his face, holding his mother's final letter. "Mom, I did it. It's small, but it's real, and it's just the beginning." Year 5, scaling the dream. By 2029, David had built 5 schools across Washington and Oregon. Over 300 children were getting free education. He partnered with corporations, government programs, and private donors. He hired former teachers who'd retired. He trained young volunteers. He named every school after his mother, the Susan Chen Education Initiative. Year 10, the legacy. By 2034, David was 50 years old. His organization had built 23 schools across 8 states. Over 2,000 children were receiving free, high-quality education. David had been featured in national news, TED Talk invitations, book deals, but none of that mattered to him. What mattered was this. Every year, on the anniversary of his mother's death, David sat alone in the first school he built, and he wrote her a letter.
David's letter to his mother, 2034. Dear Mom, it's been 10 years since you left. I found your letters, all 20 of them. I'm sorry I wasted 20 years. I'm sorry I forgot my promise. I'm sorry I became small. But I want you to know, I'm not small anymore. I kept my promise. I'm changing the world. 2,000 children are in school because of you, because you believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. Every school has your name on it. Every child knows who Susan Chen was. They know she was a teacher who gave everything she had to help others, and they know her son finally woke up. I miss you, Mom, but I feel you in every classroom, in every child's smile, in every thank you from a parent who thought their kid would never get an education. You're not gone. You're alive in this work.
Thank you for never giving up on me, even when I gave up on myself. I love you. Forever. David. The truth you need to hear. My friend, let me ask you something. Are you living the life you promised yourself you'd live, or are you living the life that just happened? David wasted 20 years of mediocrity, 20 years of maybe later, 20 years of comfort that felt like slow death. And the only reason he woke up was because his mother died and left him 20 letters that said, "I still believe in you, even when you don't believe in yourself." But here's the thing. You don't have to wait for a tragedy to wake up. You don't have to wait for someone to die to realize you're wasting your life. You can wake up right now, today, this moment.
The questions you need to answer. I want you to close your eyes for a second and imagine this. You're 80 years old, lying in a hospital bed. You have 1 week to live. Your children, your grandchildren, your friends are standing around you, and someone asks, "Tell us about your life. What did you do? What did you accomplish? What mattered?" What will you say? Will you say, "I worked a job I didn't care about for 40 years? I played it safe. I never took risks. I never pursued my dream. But hey, I had a decent 401k." Or will you say, "I lived fully. I took risks. I failed sometimes, but I tried. I built something. I helped people. I mattered." Which story do you want to tell? Because that story, it starts today, not tomorrow, not next year, not when things are better. Today. What if your mother wrote you a letter? Here's something that will break your heart. Right now, your parents are alive, maybe, and they're watching you. They see you scrolling endlessly. They see you stuck in a job you hate. They see you living smaller than you were meant to live. And they don't say anything because they love you, because they don't want to pressure you, because they believe you'll figure it out. But deep down, they're heartbroken because they remember the kid you were, the kid who had dreams, the kid who had fire, and they wonder, what happened? So let me ask you, if your mother wrote you a letter right now, what would it say? Would it say, "I'm proud of the life you're living"? Or would it say, "I'm scared you're wasting your one precious life"? You know the answer. Your 3-step wake-up plan. Here's what I want you to do tonight. Not tomorrow, tonight. Step 1. Write your own letter. Get a pen and paper, not your phone, paper. Write a letter to yourself from your 80-year-old self. Imagine you're at the end of your life, looking back. What do you wish you had done? What do you regret not trying? What dream did you bury? Write it down. Dear friend, I wish you had... Be honest, brutally honest. Step 2. Call your parents if they're still alive. Right now, pick up the phone. Call your mom, call your dad. Don't just say, "Hi, I'm fine." Actually talk. Ask them, "Mom, what did you dream I would become?" Listen to their answer. Then tell them, "I'm going to make you proud, starting today." And if your parents are gone, write them a letter anyway. Tell them what you're going to do. Tell them you're sorry you waited. Tell them you're going to honor their belief in you. Step 3. Take one action tomorrow. Not think about it, not research. Do something. If your dream is to start a business, register the LLC tomorrow. If your dream is to write a book, write page 1 tomorrow. If your dream is to help people, volunteer somewhere tomorrow. One action, that's it. Because action kills fear.
Action kills regret. Action wakes you up. The final truth. David was 40 when he started. 40. Not 20, not 25, not fresh out of college. 40 years old. Too old, too late, too far gone. And he still did it. He built 23 schools. He changed 2,000 lives in 10 years. You have time, but only if you start.
What will your letter say? Imagine this. 10 years from now, someone opens a box after you're gone. Inside, there's a letter you wrote today. It says, on February 7th, 2026, I decided to stop wasting my life. I decided to wake up. I decided to become who I was meant to be. And here's what I did.
What comes next? That's up to you, but the story starts today. If this story moved you, do these 3 things right now. Hit that like button, not for me, for you, as a commitment to yourself that you're going to wake up. Drop a comment. Tell me, what dream have you buried? And what's one action you'll take tomorrow to dig it up? I'll read every single comment, and I'll reply, because your dream matters. Share this video with someone who's living smaller than they were meant to live. Maybe it's a friend. Maybe it's a family member. Maybe they need to hear David's story. Subscribe to this channel. Every week, I bring you stories of people who woke up and transformed their lives, and the exact steps they took to do it. Remember David's words. When David was 80 years old, someone asked him, "Do you regret starting so late, at 40?" David smiled and said, "I regret the 20 years I wasted, but I don't regret the 40 years I lived, because I'd rather have 40 years of meaning than 60 years of mediocrity." You're not too old, you're not too late, you're not too far gone. You're just asleep, and today is the day you wake up. Your mother believed in you. Now it's time to believe in yourself. Go. Your dream is not dead, it's just buried. Dig it up today.